To our guest speaker this evening. Karen Thomas is known as the Connecticut etiquette expert in Connecticut, attracting individuals who value the importance of integrity, proper decorum, and civility. Karen provides lectures, workshops, and training proven to increase sales and advance leadership skills. She is a monthly segment contributor for the Connecticut TV show Connecticut Style at ABC WTNH and the Massachusetts television show Mass Appeal on NBC WWLP. She is on the radio as well as the current etiquette expert for Star 99.9 FM on the Anna and Raven radio program. A well-sought-after speaker known for her professionalism and humor, she has authored a chapter in the best-selling book, From Soapbox to the Stage, How to Use Your Passion to Start a Speaking Business by Bill Corbett. Clientele includes Aetna, Genworth Financial, New England Properties, and MPI, as well as numerous corporations in the tri-state area. Karen teaches at numerous colleges across the state of Connecticut, preparing graduates for entrance into corporate America. UConn, University of St. Joseph, Quinnipiac University, and many more. She is the etiquette trainer to the UConn women's basketball team, as well as the UConn's men's football team. Karen studied business administration in college and holds certification as an etiquette civility coach, trained in business etiquette, corporate leadership, and educational advancement for youth. She resides in Connecticut with her husband Ken, 3 children, and her exceptionally well-mannered black lab. Please join me in welcoming Karen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. That was a wonderful welcome with especially when we talk about my dog. I would like to thank Sarah for having me here this evening and bringing me in for this very first time. The next two, I just want to mention the next 2 speakers that they have with this business series. I know Trish very well, and I also know Michael J. Lynch. Wonderful speakers, know their topic, so if you get a chance to hear them and attend, please do. This evening we're going to talk about the rules of netiquette, or internet etiquette, and why it's important. And I think with the social scene the way it is, everyone has a smartphone, everyone has some sort of technology dating way back to when we had those big giant computers that sat on our desks, now to these beautiful little laptops that we could carry, or just again our smartphones that we carry everywhere. And I think that we're lacking a bit of etiquette when it comes to social media and the business practices that go along with it, like such as telephones, emails, and things of that nature. So this topic here, netiquette, has really taken off over the last 3 to 5 years because people are wondering what is right, what is not right, and the etiquette experts, not myself, but the Emily Posts and what have you, have come up with a set of guidelines and things for the new technology, which it's always good to know. So we're going to start off here. Let me see now. I have to figure this out. I have my little, there it is here. Okay, we're there. Okay, so who is this Karen Thomas? Who is she? She told you pretty much who I am. I'm an educator, speaker, author, and trainer. Hailing from Connecticut. I'm originally from Torrington, grew up in Harwinton, so I'm right down the street. And love being in this section of town over here in Simsbury. My sister lives here. It's absolutely beautiful, and so is this facility. So, moving right along. 1.23 billion people log into social media daily. That's an awful lot of people. And as of late, we have noticed that there has become a bit of incivility in society. I heard somebody go, even with, not even just politics or anything, but in general, in society, with social media, with people feeling that they can come onto the internet or post or comment or what have you and stay behind the computer without being respectful of other people's needs or other people's feelings or whatever, because they're behind the computer. So it's not a face-to-face conversation or anything, but they could just throw maybe a zinger out and just be like, here it is, whatever. And we really need to start moving away from that. But the most important thing, aside from the personal end, is the business end. And if you are an entrepreneur, or if you are just, an employee at one of the big companies, or just, yourself or a 2-person company, it is key to have good social media etiquette so you are staying above the rest, being respectful, and standing out. And let me tell you, people are watching. And so this is a huge topic, and people are really taking notice of certain things. Now, as most of you know, a lot of times now when you're applying for a job, okay, or you're looking for work, they will look at your social media sites, okay? And a lot of times, even if you put the privacy settings to private or, can't see, there are ways now that the HR departments can get into these and look at them. These are a tell-all of certain types of perhaps activities or things, the type of person, and a lot of times that is how they're gauging whether they're going to call you for an interview or not, or bring you in. And with thousands of applicants for, just say one job, that could be the one factor that kind of boots you out of that round. So it's important to kind of follow the rules. So why does Netiquette matter? It's permanent. Once it goes on the internet, it's there. You may not be able to find it. I mean, I am a little bit behind the times on technology in that, like, I can't fix the problem. I have to call my son, who's 25, and be like, Robbie, why is it this thing? And he's like, Ma, just do bip, 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 and I do it, and it works. Okay, that part, but I mean, I know the social media end and that end of it, but the intricate workings, no. That's not me. But again, it's permanent. They can find it. People are going back and finding, as we're seeing in a lot of scenarios, with certain things like servers and all of that, just with the government, they can find it. So if you put it on there, it's there permanently. It's never going to go away. And it can be misinterpreted. And I think this is one of the most important things to take away from it, is that a comment or something that you put on social media, whether it be even an email, okay, can be misconstrued, because it's not face-to-face or it's not heard by the ear. So if I say to you, you're not doing a good job, that could be misconstrued. I could say it in a certain way, but if I say, you're not doing a really good job at this, but however, we can work on certain things. But if I just send you a thing that says, you're not doing a good job, you can work on it, you don't hear my voice, so you're not hearing exactly what I'm saying. And you could take that as me saying, this is it, and it gets misconstrued. So it's always important. I always tell people, as much as we found that the phone is a little bit maybe the last thing that people tend to use, they tend to text or email and all that stuff, it's probably a good idea to always, if you want to make sure that you're heard in the correct form, with the correct connotation coming across, to use the phone. I always say that. And then also the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. It's just plain and simple. If you wouldn't want somebody to comment ill, or put negativity on your site, then don't do that to others. And I found that a lot of times I have people on my site feel that, let's say my Facebook, for example, feel that they're contributing in a sense to maybe the topic that I post or whatever, but they're being negative about it. And there's no need for that. You know what I mean? Everyone has their opinions, and that's not what I'm saying. My opinion is always not right, but that's my opinion, and I respect my right to have that opinion, is what I'm saying. So make sure that when you're doing things, you always just take into consideration, would I want to say that to their face? Will it be misconstrued? Think about those things, because we always want to be professional. We want to be poised, polished, and professional people at all times when it comes to business. Now, on your social end, if you have a Facebook, let's say, and I keep referring to Facebook, if you have that for just personal, and that's just for fun and different things like that, that's fine. But again, be careful, because again, employees and employers can look at those things. So, moving right along. I want to start with email. Okay, so email etiquette is the number one cause of maybe misinterpretation, okay, because you're typing it out, and again, but they're not hearing what you're saying. But I would like to, people like to say, well, you know what, it's just a quick and easy thing. It's not really a formal way to communicate. But it is. Email has become so secondhand to all of us that it's easy just to say, you know what, I'm going to respond by email rather than calling. And, there are things that you need to be putting in your emails to make it a good sounding professional email. So some of the things that I have on there, you always want to include a greeting. So dear so-and-so or whatever, or even if it's just Gretchen. You know what I mean? You know, say the first person's, their name is Gretchen. Gretchen. Put something in there, not just starting your message and saying whatever. Make it a little more formal, especially for business, especially if maybe you just had an interview and you are emailing them to thank them for the interview. You want to make sure that you say, dear Mr. or dear Mrs., you know, whomever you spoke with, okay? So you always want to have a closing as well. So in this one here, I just use this one as an example. The thanks in advance, or something I use, which none of you will ever use this one, but I always put in there, yours for a more civil society. Now the reason I use that closing is because I'm an etiquette educator, okay? I wouldn't expect you to use that, but there's other things like sincerely, respectfully, fondly, if it's not a personal, and if it's not a business thing, you could use fondly, you know, any of those things, but use that and then put your name. Now this here, this is just Brad. So Brad, we have no idea who Brad is, but if it were for business, I would rather see him put Brad Jones, or you know, whatever his name was, and then always for the business end of it have the professional title of, you know, XYZ widget maker, you know, and then the address and all of those things if it's professional. If it's just me to you and I'm responding to you for the picnic next week, dear Susie, thanks for the invite. I'm not able to make it. You know, I have another commitment. However, I'll catch up with you next week. Fondly, Karen Thomas. Just so you know what I mean? But I gave you the main things. Now, the information that you have on here, this gives you another thing too, with all of the wonderful tools that we have on the internet, like spell check, and they also have grammar things on mine. They have the, it gets, I think, like a red squiggly line that says there's something grammatically wrong with that. Use these things, because one of the worst ways to turn somebody off, I think, professionally, is when you don't spell something correctly. Not with all these, it's not like you have to stop. Go over there, grab the thesaurus or grab the dictionary, okay? It's all right there for you. So make sure that you check all of those things. So you want to do the spell check and all that. One of the big things with email etiquette is the liberal use of the CC, the BCC, or the just putting everybody in the two. So let's say that I was going to email all of you here, okay? So now I put everybody in there. Well, not everybody wants their email, you know, so maybe she doesn't want you to know her email, whatever. So do it individually or do the BCC type thing, but just be careful when you're doing it again, and don't send out a random to like 10 different people, because I've known a lot of people that will copy that and use that as like their new mailing address. So now you're getting maybe what they don't consider spam. But let's say I sell a particular product. I'm a direct salesperson, for example, and now I've gotten all your emails, okay? And now I'm just going to bombard you with all this stuff like, hey, buy my lipstick or buy my this or whatever. You know what I mean? It's a turnoff. And what do you usually end up doing once you start getting those? Unsubscribe or delete. You know what I mean? So make sure that you're just cautious when you're using the two, you know, and who you're sending it to. Ensure that the message is short and to the point. The reason for email is so you're not typing out a letter. Does anybody remember? I remember when I was a secretary years and years and years ago, typing out the whole letter and the whole, you know what I mean, thing. And then I even remember, is it carbon paper? Oh, Sarah wouldn't know. She's too young. But carbon paper, like, does anybody remember that? Now I'm really dating myself. Yeah, okay, thank you, because now I don't feel like. But I mean, all of those things that, you know, again, this is the way to do it short and quick, but again, it does not mean non-professional. Okay, so if you're sending it out for business, make sure that it's professional. It's a complete sentence. Or personal, knock yourself out. Hey, I'm making the picnic next week. Thanks again. See you, Susie. Love, Karen. You know what I mean? Whatever. Okay, monitor the tone and be wary of conveying emotion. Now, in business, it is inappropriate to use the cute little emojis like I used on the first slide over there that was like going like this to me, okay? Those are inappropriate, okay? Because you're in business, okay? The last thing I want to see is, or, you know, wink, wink, or any of that. Okay, that just right there just takes the whole message and throws it right out the window. Now, again, if you are that absolutely close and you're 100% sure of your relationship with that person or whatever, and you feel you can get away with it, fine, but I don't suggest it in business. Now, in personal, absolutely. I send to, you know, my friends, this and that, all the time, cute little emojis and everything, and they're cute. You got to admit, they really are cute. And some of them, they have, ones that are really appropriate for whatever you're doing. Now let's talk about texting for a moment. Texting for business. It is acceptable in business practices to text. Okay. However, you should always obtain the permission of the person first. So let's say that you're my new client and we're going to go to lunch, and you and I have met and we know that we're going to lunch at 12 o'clock tomorrow, whatever. But I send you my phone number and I say to you, just in case something happens, text me. You know what I mean? So I've given you now permission to text me. So now you're driving along and, I don't know, let's say you have a flat tire, just something bizarre. So she has a flat tire. So now I'm sitting at the restaurant, I'm waiting, and it's 10 after, it's 20 after, and I would hope you would at least call or text. And a text would be fine in a situation like that. Somebody, Karen, I'm sorry, I got a flat tire, I'm on Route 8, but, I'll be there in 10 minutes or, whatever. That's acceptable. But always ask the person first. So I had offered you my cell phone because we were meeting for lunch. So I was giving you the authorization to do so. But always check if it's with a client or something like that in the professional world. Check with them to see if it's okay. A lot of times people don't like to receive texts, okay, unless it's a personal thing. You know what I mean? Family members or what have you. So always ask first. That's a huge thing. Getting back to the email here, we also want to remember we don't want to send confidential information. Again, this is something that can be pulled, found down the road 6 million years from now that your great, 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 great grandchildren may find. Okay, so again, that's something that you want to make sure that you're aware of. Are there any questions regarding our email before we move along? Our email etiquette. Anybody have any stories to share about anything with email that they've ever received or in business or personal that was a little risque or inappropriate?
I'm just glad that you said it's supposed to be short. Because even in life, I tend to talk too much, kind of like you.
Like me. Darling, I got
like you.
I know, right?
Because there's people like me.
I'm Italian, and the hands will be flying in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But, right?
Yeah, and I think that's super important. I'm a teacher, but I also have I have a relationship with a college to train new teachers.
Yes.
So sometimes it's just as short and to the point, and
Right.
I needed to know that.
Yes, because that's what it's for. The email is to get rid of the letter that you would have years ago typed out. Okay, but so it's to get the point. It's like, here's the deal. Yeah, we're meeting for lunch. Thank you, 12 o'clock, fondly Brad, whatever. You know what I mean? But it's the shortness of it. And the same thing with a text. You would do even less with a text if you have permission. You wouldn't be like, dear Karen, I am sitting I have a flat tire. I just, got a flat tire, be there in 10 minutes, whatever.
That's another thing I questioned. The whole
Yes.
texting thing.
Yes.
Being a teacher, and I'm such a perfectionist, is I have to spell things in proper, like a sentence. And a lot of people are like, be there soon, or see ya, see ya.
Or BRB, or
that.
And I'm glad you brought those up.
That.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up too, because here's the thing. In texting, yes, and I speak from an etiquette standpoint, okay, because I just took a class on this with the Emily Post Institute months back. Okay, in a texting situation, yes. Okay, yes, you can. You could do the shortening of things or using the BRB, be right back, or the see you soon or whatever. Now, just a funny thing, my son is 25, and his preferred method of talking back, we talk on the phone, but is a lot of times during the day he'll text me, and he is one to spell things out, and I am the one who'll be like, see you, or whatever, or love. Oh, his one that he hates is, I'm like, love you, LUV. He sent me a very, very stern text one time that said, mother. Okay, when he calls me mother, we know what, remember when your mother would call you your first and middle name, Karen Ann. Okay, he said mother. The word is spelled LOVE. And I'm looking at my phone like, is he serious? He is 25 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness. But again, right? And it's true. So some people frown upon it. However, it is acceptable by business standards in a text to do that. Never in an email. So it should not be a C and a U, in that email ever. Okay, not to shorten it or anything. Again, and then it goes along with the emojis. But yes, it's a great question, because again, my 25-year-old son was just like, okay. So I agree. And you know what, again, it's a lot of times it's in the urgency of maybe the message. You just want to hurry up, and it's like, and, okay, let's say the smartphones, they make these words, things that are not, you know, what you really meant it to be. I don't know, I can't even think of one right now, but sometimes you put something in there, put something totally different in there, and you're like, and you hit send, and then you read it, you're like, what? And then, you know, I didn't mean feathers, I meant, you know. And so, you know, you have to really look at it again and make sure. But again, for those reasons, I have now, you'll be happy to know that I now spell out the word Loveyu for when I send it to Robbie. So, and he's happy with me now. Alrighty, so we're going to go on to social media, and we're going to hit on this evening after the actual presentation on here. This is just a short one that I have on the PowerPoint, but I just wanted to go on here and make sure that you are all aware of these different ones that are on there. I don't know if you've experienced them or even heard of them or whatever, but some of the newer ones, like Vimeo, pardon me, Tumblr, Vimeo, My Blogger. There's some different ones, LiveJournal. There's a whole bunch of new ones out there, but these are the pretty much right here on here, the ones that have been tried and true. And we're going to go over the Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, and Instagram after this is over. And we're just going to hit on the etiquette points. We're not going to drag it on, but we're going to hit on those. So these are pretty much your basics here. And especially if you have a business or even with personal, either or. Snapchat is another one that I use for business, which I don't find totally... or super helpful, I would say. I mean, I use it, but I don't find that it's super helpful to me. But again, it could be that I'm not that adept in using it. I mean, I use it, but again, it's not. It's more for, I think, the younger ones. Like my daughter will put 72 on a day, and I'm like, what do you do? Do you work? Like, what are you doing? Why is there a Snapchat of your sandwich and then the cat and then? But at any rate, that's just like a young person thing, I think. You know, I don't get it. Alrighty, so we're going to talk about profile pictures for any one of your social media accounts, okay? So most of the time they'll say put a photo up on there. So let's talk about business first, okay? Which one do you think is the best one? B. Why do we not like A? What does it say to you? Not that she's not pretty. I'm not talking about the physical appearance. I'm talking about in general. To me, this looks like she's in a car, and it was a selfie. Okay. Now, one of the first things. Now, obviously, B is a professional photograph. Now, it doesn't have to be a professional photograph in that I hired, XYZ photo company or photographer to come. It could be so much as you stood over at that white wall over there, okay, had good lighting, and did a selfie. Okay, so I'm not going to rule out selfies as a profile picture. I'm not, because again, people a lot of times, even starting up entrepreneurs, they don't have that kind of money to spend, but they want a quality picture. So at least if you have somebody take your photo against a white or a cream backdrop or a dark with a professional looking outfit on, or just, and again, it's only from here up, okay, that is better. Now, I am not so much for this here with the woman here, because the body language that she's giving off is not really receptive to people. It's more kind of like, but that is a pose that they use. I have one of those too, but I don't ever use it on any of my stuff. But this one's acceptable. But again, this one here, it looks like either somebody pulled up alongside, she's at Burger King ordering her fries, and somebody took the photo, and she's in the car. And while she's a beautiful woman, it's just really not appropriate for. Now, is that appropriate for Facebook, for her personal page? Absolutely. Almost anything goes. And I've even seen, not emojis, but, what do they call those? For goodness sake, the cartoon of you. Bitmoji, yeah, yes, I couldn't think of it. I've even seen those for people. On your personal, absolutely. But for business, let's talk about it. If we're going to do for business, you want to make sure that you're going with B. If it's personal and you use it for nothing but personal, then absolutely go with A. But if we're talking business and you are doing it, make sure it's something that is looking professional. Again, don't have to spend a lot of money. But again, you also don't want to see this. Have you ever seen when you do a selfie, you see your arm like there? So when you don't want to see that. So make sure somebody maybe takes the photo for you, unless you could Photoshop the arm out. You know what I mean? So, but I've seen it. It is what it is. Okay. So let's talk about friend requests. And again, on here I have certain things. I have Facebook here and then connections, which would be your LinkedIn over here. And we blocked out the people's faces because, we don't, for privacy. Should only be made to people you know personally or professionally. Okay, so in other words, I see a lot of this going on in the business world where LinkedIn, for example, does everyone use LinkedIn at all? Is everybody familiar with it? Okay. I've seen a lot of that where people will go down and just read the titles of whatever. And I get friend requests from people I have no idea who this is, but this person might be maybe in my industry or something similar, and they just want to connect. And he's from, I don't know, Oshkosh, Bagosh, Wisconsin. And I have no idea who this person is. So on LinkedIn, I do not accept those. Okay, now let's say this evening you and I, we've met here this evening. Okay, and I'll stay after, we'll have questions, whatever like that. I ask you, well, I will not ask you. Let me rephrase that because that's one of the rules. You don't ask. I will say to you, please connect with me. So send me a request on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to. If you've attended one of my workshops and you've heard me speak and you want to reach out to me, absolutely. Okay, but I mean, if you're just, John Doe from, 18 million miles away, I have no idea who you are, but you are fascinated with etiquette, delete. And I put on there, and one of the good things about LinkedIn is that they have on there that it says, I do not, once you hit that, it says, I do not know this person, and you could click on that, which takes them out of your radar, so to speak. So now he's not going to keep sending you, because I have this one gentleman who keeps sending me a Facebook friend request every 2 weeks. I keep hitting delete and no, and it's either delete or confirm, and every 2 weeks he keeps showing up on there. And so I keep looking at the profile like, well, maybe, have I met him somewhere? Nothing. And every 2 weeks, and his profile picture is of a bird, and he's got maybe like 4 friends, and so, some of them are spam, and not that I'm rating it, but I mean, you have to look at it and you know that some of them are a little crazy. So again, if you're going to be doing this even in personal, what I found what is great for Facebook is connecting with my high school friends, which is great. Like, these people, they're not going to see me, they've moved on, this and that, but through Facebook, we get to see each other and, see what they're doing, or they've had kids, or this and that. And we've connected and, talked, and it's a wonderful thing, this whole social media. It could be a curse, though, too. So again, when we're going with LinkedIn is always for the business professional. Never be posting silly little selfies or any of this stuff like that. It's strictly business. Facebook, absolutely. If it's your personal, now on my Facebook, I have 2 different accounts. I have a business and a personal. Decided over the last year to move my my personal one to my business because I've had more people connecting with me on there for the business. So I've renamed it. It's Karen Thomas Etiquette. That's who I am on Facebook. And everything I put on there, if you are a friend of mine and you send me a request, you're going to see, okay, pictures of my dogs. Okay, I'm bombarded. 98% of what I post on my Facebook is all about my business. Okay, but there's the occasional cute picture of the dog that might have done something cute, or my kids whom I'm very proud of. Okay, but again, it's not all about that. It's mostly business. And then there's also that lovely little function of unfollow. I don't know if you know about that on Facebook. So if you're friends with somebody, without deleting them, you can go on and unfollow them. Okay, so that means their posts are not going to show up in your feed, okay? And you didn't unfriend them. Now, if you just go and unfriend somebody, okay, and next week you're at the coffee shop and here comes Susan, and Susan's like, you unfriended me. And you're like, well, because she was just bombarding your Facebook page with like ridiculous cat photos. Okay. So you're saying, I'm getting rid of her. Okay. And now she confronts you. Now you feel ridiculous for blocking her. Again, so there's ways to get around that. Just hit unfollow, and then you could still look at them. You could still creep and stalk if you want. But again, come on. Sometimes you want to hey, I haven't seen what she's doing lately. Okay. But again, there's ways to get around that. So I always say, if you don't know them, don't send them out just because you feel that you want that job at such and such company and that guy works there. So I'm going to send him a friend request, and he looks at it and goes delete. And then, oh, by the way, your resume came across his desk. He's like, oh, she stalked me on Facebook. Okay, so there we are. Alrighty, so how often to post on social media? So what would Karen do? Well, Karen is a little excessive, so Karen doesn't follow these guidelines, but we are going to talk about the guidelines that are suggested by the Etiquette examples, okay? 1 to 2 times daily for Facebook, Google+, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Okay, now, I think personally that 1 to 2 times for LinkedIn a day is excessive. That is my take on it. I think that once a day is great. I mean, unless you were perhaps maybe at a conference or something ginormous or something that has to do with your industry, your job directly, professionally, okay. But again, not so much 2 times. I'd kind of err on the side of 1. But on your Facebook, Google+, Instagram, any of those, if it relates to your business, whatever, fine. And that same goes for personal as well. Absolutely. Once a day on Pinterest. That Pinterest we're not going to really get into Pinterest much, but people are using that for business. I would say, once a day is fine. I mean, but you could pin other pins. What I'm saying is it would be something that you would be posting. So let's say you posted an infogram or an infographic rather, like the one that I did. You could maybe post that, but then again, I would pin other things to my accounts. That's fine. That's different for Pinterest. And then Twitter, no more than 5 times a day. Now, you might think that that's a little bit excessive with business, but it's really not, because this is how these big corporations are getting people to follow them and getting their information out there about, blasts about this or that, and they're engaging people to come in. This is what you read. Some people read my stuff. I've got followers, but again, are you following me because you like what I post, or is it because, so you have to kind of guide yourself into what you're thinking. I mostly use the Twitter for business. However, I am friends with a lot of my daughter's friends, and so I'll sometimes reply something on there to them, but again, that's not business wise on there. So any questions thus far?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So if someone blocks you on Facebook,
yes,
okay, but they also have, they have like an Instagram or another account in the social media world, do you still have access to that, or is it one that's blocked?
Yes, no, it's per a social media site. So in other words, Facebook, if you block somebody on Facebook, they're blocked. But if I am following you on Instagram, you have to go in and block them on Instagram. So each one has to be done separately. They're not all linked in. And it's funny because I have some people blocked on my Facebook, but not so much on my, which one? On my Twitter. You know what I mean? You could read what I'm doing and where I'm going and what's happening. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Or my Instagram. I don't care if they're reading.
People have to be careful, too, what they post, because they're, it's funny because my fiance's in law enforcement, and he's don't post anything on vacations. There are professional criminals that follow this.
Absolutely.
And they are ready. Soon they know you're at the beach. They know
exactly.
So you got to be careful. We were in Myrtle Beach. We got back. Nobody knew. And I'm I still haven't posted pictures. And they're oh, how was Myrtle Beach? And I'm well, nice. But I don't know. I'm just very, very leery. And I only post once a month on Facebook. That's it.
Well, good for you, because that is a great tip for all of you to take into consideration, too. For security, whether it's personal or professional or whatever, to say, or even to say on the professional side, I'm going to the conference in Las Vegas for the next 2 weeks, you know what I mean? And let's say that you're single and they know or whatever. I mean, you're absolutely right. People are stalking and watching, and guess what? When you come home, there's a smashed window and all of your furnishings are gone. So that's a great tip, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I have just
no, that's fine. Please, I love to.
I'm excited that you were coming, and this is very interesting.
Well, I'm glad. Yay.
No, really. So like I said, I'm a teacher, and I actually put on there the district that I work for, and that kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know, just because when my fiance telling me all these horror stories about criminal justice and what's happening with all the issues, I'm should I put where I teach? I feel that's a little personal.
That depends. I know what you're saying. I mean, what's nice about social media is you have the ability to share as much or as little as you want. And if you're uncomfortable with that, then I would put it down. For example, a lot of times what I do is instead of saying, now I'm telling you right here, I'm from Torrington, Connecticut. I put down that I am from Litchfield County. It gives you an idea. I'm in one of those towns. Now, if you really are going to stalk me or really going to track me down, you're going to find me. But again, I put in Litchfield County. So you would probably look at that and go, okay, and move along. You know what I mean? Okay, she lives in Litchfield County. But again, people are going to try to find out information about you.
It's so easy. All you have to do is open your, internet.
Yeah.
You type in the person's
name and
so many everything.
It's funny you say that, yes, because my daughter showed me some site where she says, Mom, put your name in there. I'm like, okay, so I did. And it came up with like the last 4 places I lived and the addresses, my ex-husband's name, his mother, grandmother, dog, parakeet. I was like, oh my goodness. So again, going back to permanency, anything that goes into a computer, they can find you. But again, it's a personal preference on social media how much you really want to share. So if you're not comfortable with that, I would definitely go back in and just say...
If you look at your friends and you can see, okay, there's other teachers that because people post something.
Right.
Why are they putting that on?
Well, but I mean, again, it's... I have friends who are nurses, for example. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm not a nurse, but they might, maybe because I'm connected with so many nurses, think that. I mean, there's just so much. So it's your own personal preference into what you want to share. But again, that's a great tip, is to definitely be aware of what you're doing and what you're sharing, because and now they're saying that you shouldn't put anything on about your kids at all, especially like little kids, little minor grown, but again, that's another, that's a safety thing. So all right, so we've got the posting, so now we're moving along. So this one is huge. I always ask permission before I post, please. And I have other colleagues in my area who will take things from my wall and post them without asking. Now, I'm not saying they have to send me a formal email or a text or anything, but you know what? Comment on it and say, oh, may I share, or can I share, or send them a private message. You also have private messaging technology on your Facebook and LinkedIn and all this to send like a private message. Just say, can I share this? Like today, there was a beautiful picture of a bill about something, and they had all these list of things on there, and then it said nothing, and it was $50. So somebody had put that on, and I said to her, it was a friend's mother, and I said, Deb, would you mind if I use that? And I said I could share, and she said, absolutely. I mean, some people might come back and say, no, I don't want you to share. I mean, but this was something bizarre, so she's like, absolutely. So I shared it, and I said, blah, 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 and made my comments. But always ask, because I have seen a lot of colleagues just come in, click share photo, and next thing you know, they put it on theirs, and there it is. But also give credit where credit is due. Now, not with a photo. If you've gotten permission and you said, Sarah, can I post this picture? And you said yes, okay, fine. So I don't have to go, okay, Sarah, let me use this photo. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But I mean, if it's something that she wrote or whatever, and it's kind of like a plagiarism thing, I say, Sarah from the Simsbury Business Resource Center gave me this great article, here it is. So make sure you give credit where credit is due, and make sure you ask. And then also on the personal side, photos. There's always that one photo where I've got like a chip hanging out of my mouth, or whatever, and you're at the party and then somebody posts it and they tag you, and then there you are, and you look like, oh my goodness. And there's this one time I gave a speech at a college. I don't know what I ate before the speech. I have to this day, it drives me insane. I'm up late every night thinking about this. I had the whole speech, whatever, got in the car, and there it was, one of my tooths was blacked out, like I was a pirate, or like somebody had punched me. Okay, now the correct etiquette, I know this is off of the social media, the correct etiquette would be to say, okay, discreetly. I went the whole hour and a half teaching that class. Nobody said a word. Got in the car, looked in the mirror just for the heck of it, to do my mirror, and went, oh my God, horrified. Okay, so again, there's these situations that happen with photos and tagging, whether it's personal or professional, and especially if it's the office Christmas party where everybody's like, woohoo, okay, and then there you are, and you've, okay, like that, and you're on the dance floor, and next thing you know, it's on your site, and then, okay, so always ask before tagging or posting or sharing photos. That's the only thing I can say to you. Please. That's my big one. Okay, language, please. All caps equals shouting. There are some of my gentleman friends, and I'm not discriminating, but I'm just saying my gentleman friends, that send out everything in all caps. That is considered shouting on social media, and they're just not quite aware of it. And then you've got the people that are commenting and go, "Why are you shouting?" Because and they don't even realize it. And I don't know whether they hit caps lock. I don't know what the deal is, but so we don't do that. And then again, refrain from negativity, please, because negativity just, we've got enough negativity in this world. Let's make it a civil place, and let's keep it off of social media. So, always thank and reciprocate. This is one of the huge things that I have a problem with as well. Here's the thing. It is good etiquette to thank somebody. Thank you for liking my photo. Now, I'm not saying on everyone, everybody that likes your photo, you're like, "Dear Susie, thank you," or "John, thank you." That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, in general, if there's something to thank somebody about, do it. Just write on there, "Thank you." I always put on there, "Thank you kindly." Same thing with reciprocating. This is huge. There's a lot of people that have reached out to me via colleagues or networking events and things like that, and so we're going back and forth, and not one of them will ever like or comment or anything on the stuff that I'm posting, but I'm over there liking and commenting, and I'm engaging. That's what you should do. And so again, it's important that you reciprocate. If you want people to like your widget business that you put on social media, and you want people to buy your widgets, then you know what? You need to engage. So that's called reciprocal, liking, posting, sharing. So make sure you're doing all of those things as well. And these are just some of the etiquette things that we sometimes forget about. So it's time for review. Everything that we went over this evening, we're going to go on to the social media etiquette for each site that I have as well on the handout. But I just wanted to review and see if there's anything that I can answer with what we covered this evening on our PowerPoint, because I'd be happy to, or something that's related to that, I'd be happy to engage. Yes?
I just had a question. Usually I do not friend request a superior in the workplace.
Oh, wonderful.
I read something about that.
Yes, absolutely. And that is correct. And this is one thing too, and they're now coming up with, in companies, and some of the larger companies, social media policies, okay, which indicate that you should not be fraternizing with employees, because it can become a problem. Now, it's not say that, let's say all of us are in the sales department and we friend each other personally. That's different. You can, but I always made it a rule to never friend anybody that I worked with. And that is, again, a personal choice, you know what I mean, for what your profession is. But also, again, always note if there is, just like there's an attire policy at certain corporations, it's always good to review the social media policy if there in fact is one. Okay, and know what the expectations are. Because, you never know if there's an event or something that, let's say you and I the three of us work in the same department, and she's having a party and she invited me to the picnic, but you didn't get invited, and so we're there, and now us three are friends on Facebook personally, but we all work together, so now we all get to the office cooler on Monday morning, and your feathers are, and you're sitting over there, and we're like, ha ha ha, and did you see so-and-so, and it was so fun, and you're over there like, really? And now she's ticked, and it just gets ugly. So again, just be very, very careful with that. But you're absolutely correct in you should not befriend or friend request any of your superiors on LinkedIn, especially, or your other social media accounts, unless they request you. Now, then again, that could be an awkward situation as well. I've had where my boss friend requested me on Facebook, and I had to say to her, as I went in there going, "Oh my God, don't find me," in my head. But I mean, saying, I don't do that because because I didn't want to raise red flag either, because I'm posting, selfies of me on the beach. But I just don't make it a rule to do that. And they can respect that, that answer. But again, it's your personal preference. It's in how you choose to do it. But you're absolutely right. I would not, I as a rule, do not, the higher ups, or just anybody in my department. I try to keep it professional, and that way you can avoid complications down the road, right? Right. Any other questions? Yes.
If you think somebody's photo on LinkedIn is non-professional looking, how do you approach them?
Oh, great question. I sometimes, and again, with very, very, very cautious proceedings, send them a personal, never put it on their thing like, you should change your photo, or anything. But I would send a personal message, or if you're well enough that you talk to them or see them face to face, I prefer a face to face and say, hey, and it can be very casual, that photo you've got on LinkedIn, you know what, have you ever thought about doing one with and let's say it was against a black wall or it's in a car or something like that, with this background, because I think that might bring out your eyes. And I'm just using that as I know, and you're laughing like, yeah, okay, suck up. Yes, but again, you're handling it. You're not coming right out and saying, look, you look like you're pasty, half dead, and that is inappropriate. You're not saying that, even though you are thinking that, okay? So you are handling it with kid gloves and saying, you know what, it makes something like that. And again, you're offering a suggestion and you're helping them. So, hey, have you ever thought about doing your photo with your hair down and a little less makeup and doing such and such like I did, or something like that? Or, hey, you want to take, you want to post a new, here's one. I was thinking of putting a new profile picture up, and you know what, I really don't want to spend the money on a professional photographer. What do you say we get together and, and again, use the white wall, the cream wall, the black background like that, just make sure. And this cute little accessory they sell now, which I haven't bought yet, but I'm gonna. Okay, my daughter has one because she's a makeup artist. It is a little light set that goes on your the rim of your cell phone, your smartphone. So when you want to take a photo of yourself, no matter where you are, you don't need the flash, you flick it on, and it's like, you ever see the makeup mirrors with those big, it's teeny tiny ones that snaps onto your phone. You click it on and you go click like this, and it looks like you just came out of Vogue. Okay, so look into that. They're on Amazon. They're not that expensive. So I was like, but I'm telling you, so there's ways to get around it. So next time when you're talking to your friend, and by the way, I have this, she pulls out her line, right?
I think they're young and they're trying to differentiate.
Right. And again, sometimes it's hard with, I don't like the label of millennials because, I'll be honest with you, we all have our Gen X and blah, 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 blah. Everybody's got labels, but I just think labels are hurtful sometimes. And I think a lot of times the younger set just being, millennials, they do this, they do that. And not everybody's lumped into that category. So therefore, we have to be careful with that. So, but again, always kid gloves, and the proper etiquette would be to do it in a fun way and to just suggest something that, your eyes would pop if you, wore blue, or, take that tank top off, or what were you thinking? No. But at any rate, yeah. So moving along, if you could pull out your handouts that I don't know if did you guys take one of these? Yes, I have them here. I'd like to just go over the rules and things that we have on here. We'll talk about that. Now, I am not requesting you to follow me, am I? La, la, la. But I am on there, so if you've attended a workshop and you want to help yourself, I would love to connect. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so as we go down the social media etiquette, I thought it would be handy if we had these here, and you could cut those too to make it, handy dandy, take along situation. But these are just some of the things too that are really just generalized things, but it's nice to look back on specifically to the social media website. So for example, with Facebook, spread your posts out daily. So let's say you're going to do 1 to 2 daily. Okay, don't put one at 9:05 and one at 9:06. Okay, how about maybe doing one at 9 o'clock? And again, you don't have to time them, but I'm just saying, post one in the morning, post one mid-afternoon, or maybe post one afternoon, maybe in the evening or whatever like that. Don't keep bombarding, and doing like that. Reciprocation is key. Respond to comments timely. So if somebody, now that's not saying you're like glued to your set like this. Okay, did somebody comment on that post? Okay, I'm just saying that when you're on, there's some people that are like that. Like, you ever put that on there and you just finish like hitting enter, and 3 seconds later, like, really? Thank you. Wow. Hey, and you're like, oh my, where are, and you're thinking, are they over my shoulder? So in a timely manner, timely can be misconstrued. Just take it for what it's worth. Reciprocate the likes and comments. Never ask for likes. That, and especially in business, you know what I mean? Hey, can you go like my page? It's Karen Etiquette. Yay. Really? Desperation. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about that. I just started my own tutoring business, and it's funny that you should say that because my hashtags are very long and very multiple, so I'll be better about that. But getting a video out, I said, please like, comment, and share. So that's not appropriate.
No, that's fine. But if you're going on, let's say you go on Facebook tomorrow, every day, and you're going there, please like my page, or you're sending people private messages, please like my page. Will you please like my page? Please like my page. Okay, you're now desperate. That, yes, absolutely, because if you are putting content, and especially video content, and you want to get it out there, absolutely. But this is more in a direct post that says, please like my post, and you're like, you know, I get automatically turned off by that. But no, so you're fine. One hashtag per post, and this is just for Facebook. Again, you could put several, like on Instagram, I put probably 5 to 7. I get hashtag-y, crazy. Yes?
Can you actually, I've heard of hashtag, but I'm really, technology isn't my thing.
Okay.
So what is hashtag? I know it's that pound sign, but
Yes.
what is that about? Like,
Well,
I need hashtag 101.
That's next week's class. You're at the wrong class. No, but it's a good it's a good question because I didn't know what a hashtag was either, and my daughter would say to me, "Why aren't you hashtagging?" I'm like,
Yeah.
this hashtag thing. It's putting a phrase or a word that's connected to the post. So in other words, on my posts on Instagram, tonight I'll put a picture of me up here. I had my husband take a picture of me in front of my screen, so I'll have my husband put that. I will take and put that on my thing, and I will say, great crowd tonight at the blah, 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 blah. Then I'll put hashtag etiquette, hashtag CT etiquette, hashtag etiquette educator. So now these are little grouped words or a word that will help you find. So let's say on Instagram, for example, if I type in under the search key in there and I put in etiquette, they will give you, and if you have days to go through, almost anything that has the hashtag etiquette in it. So not just what I posted, she posted, all across. So it kind of directs you to everything related to that. Okay, and again, this could get crazy. Now, people have made things up. I've made up my own hashtags for certain things, and then it comes and people jump on it, and there's for example, World Cat Day, and that's a hashtag, and there's 8 million. So if you type that in and whatever, crazy stuff.
So it's like a summary, almost like what's going on.
It's more like a connection to the content you posted. So in other words, if you're, right?
Like a search item.
Exactly. So I'm going to go on and I'm going to put in, if you go into Instagram and you put in etiquette, you'll see probably 6 things that I've posted. You know what I mean? If you start going through. But again, I'm not the only one. There's 8 billion etiquette educators in the United States. So, you know what I mean? But it shows you, so it connects you. And then what you do is a lot of times, if you find people on there, people will, if you do that and you look it up, people will find you on there and say, oh, well, I want to follow her. You know what I mean? And they ask to join your account and you're like, yes, and it could be connections or whatever.
So hashtag can be for all social media, like Facebook.
Facebook, yes. Twitter, mostly Twitter and Instagram. I rarely use it for LinkedIn. I'm very, very professional with LinkedIn, period. LinkedIn was made for business professionals, period. Again, I cannot stress that enough. It should not be for posting puppet shows or anything like that, unless you're a puppeteer. But I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? It's really strictly for that. So again, you want to watch with what you're doing. But again, sometimes now you can sync your account, your Twitter account, your Instagram account, and your Facebook account. So let's say you put a photo of you on Facebook and you put a hashtag on it and it's synced, connected to your other accounts, it automatically posts on there. Or if you put it on Instagram, it posts to Facebook. So you can do that. It's not automatically done. So in other words, if you're wondering, are they all connected? Are yours? No, they're not. If you physically go on, just like the blocking, if you physically go on and connect your Instagram, Facebook with Twitter, then everything will just... And a lot of people like that because they want to put it once. See, me, I'd rather go individually and put... Sometimes I don't want to put on Twitter what I put on Facebook or,
Yeah, so what's appropriate to have? Because I just have Facebook, but I know people do and my sister does Snapchat, Twitter is like what you're doing, I'm at the library now, right? There's all these different...
it depends on what you want to use it for. For me, I use 99.9% of it, again, with the occasional dog/child picture, is for my business. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a home-based business. I'm, me, myself, and I. And so I have to get myself out there. So by doing so, I am on those social websites. And with the hashtags I've connected with, for example, there's this wonderful woman who is an etiquette educator out in, I think she's in Tennessee. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. But we've connected because I've posted. She found me. She follows me. Now I follow her. And we're working together. Now we are certainly not stepping on either one's toes, and she's doing phenomenal. I love her stuff. She has like all personalized like forks and dinnerware with her it's called Mind Your Manners Etiquette. She has them like all engraved with that. I'm like, I want that. So I mean, that was, you see what I'm saying? So it can connect you in certain ways, maybe for teachers. You know what I mean? So maybe you use a hashtag CT teachers. You know what I mean? And then you're going to find other CT teachers that might be following you, or asked to follow you rather. And there's ways to, to ask. So, okay, so let's see. The hashtag, ask for permission. Again, we talked about that for repurposing or posting. Let's move on to Twitter. On Twitter, it's good to respond as soon as possible. And again, that's not meaning holding your phone in your hand every 5 seconds, waiting for it to ding and go, oh my goodness, I better respond. I'm just saying when you're on the account, whatever, it's always good to do so right away. Try not to use all 140 characters. You really don't need to get that wordy. Okay, we could just put it in with a couple of words and a hashtag here or there. Yay. It's advised. Again, some people get very lengthy. Don't follow everyone that follows you. That's one of the best advice I can give you with that on Twitter. Because just because everybody's following you doesn't, or wants to follow you doesn't mean, like, do you buy like, I don't know, fuzzy red slippers, company, you know what I mean? They're following you. Like, unless you are obsessed with fuzzy red slippers, you don't really need to, just use your judgment on that. You don't have to. And they also have a rule on there that they will bust you off or move you off or block you for a while, the actual administrators from there, if you friend request too many people at one time. They'll be like, you're off for a week. It's like a buzzer, like a game show. You're out. You're like, what? So you have to be careful with that. And again, refrain from the negative posting. Google Plus, does anybody use that? No. I am not a huge person. I like their circles in there. I use Gmail for my email. It's okay. I post mostly my TV segments on there, so that way I have them. And I could refer back on them, and then people find me in my circles. There's things called circles. So in other words, let's say we were all friends on there, and you're in my etiquette circle, and then there's a personal friend circle or whatever, So there's different like groupings that I have people in there. So I kind of post certain things, but not a lot. Use hat tips when using others' work. I was going to say gimmick. It's not a gimmick. It's an app on there that you could use the hat tip to, thank people for. That's just, use those when you can. Let's see. Use formatting for ease of use. They have a thing, and I'm not going to get into it, but they have formatting where you can format things and time out posts and so you don't have to sit there and like that. You could set it up, and then it'll go at a different time. There's all bunch of formatting things that you can use for that. It's of use to some people. I don't find it a huge use for what I do, but that's not to say that other people. LinkedIn, again, the huge poised, polished professional. If anything you do, make sure that you have the best profile photo and that the words you use on there are succinct, as into what you do and how you word them, because that's how people find you and that's how people are viewing you on there in the professional world. So you only use professional content related to business. Always personalize requests to connect. So in other words, let's say, and that was a good one when we talked about higher ups or anything like that. Let's say, we met at this conference. I want to connect with you in LinkedIn. So I'm not just going to send, you remember, you see it, it says Karen Thomas on there. And you see it and you're like, oh yeah, I saw her at that conference or whatever like that. And I send you a request now on LinkedIn and you're like, I didn't really know her that well. But, I always preface it with a little note that says, and there's a way that you can go on there and hit a note and say, hey Sue, we met at the conference last week. I just wanted to connect on here if that's okay. Let me know, whatever. So then if I don't hear from you and we're not a connection in like a week, then I know you were just like, Nope. Okay, or if we connect, then yay, we connected. Okay, but again, I do that so that way it jars your memory, because maybe you're looking at that and you're looking through your LinkedIn and you go, Karen Thomas, who's that? I don't know any Karen Thomas. And you're about to hit delete, and then you're like, oh, and now you read my note. Oh, the conference, that's right, yeah. And yeah, okay, so use that. Let's see, limit requests for endorsements and recommendations. Now on there, people can endorse you for what you do, so they could go on there and there's a whole plethora of things that they could say, like she's a good communicator and a good social media manager and she's a good this and a that, and all it is just putting a like on it. And then now on my profile, so let's say you liked it, okay, or you endorsed me, so now what'll show up on there, it'll say for etiquette training, Sue Jones endorses Karen Thomas for etiquette training. Okay, so it's like saying to people that, bravo, I like what she did, I can vouch for it, not saying she's going to write me a recommendation letter, but that, so she puts that on there. So that's what those are there. You kind of limit those, and again, that's kind of like the, can you like my page? Don't go saying to people, hey, can you endorse me? Can you send me? You know what I mean? That's, no, not on LinkedIn. And then use groups wisely, not to promote your business constantly, but and then again, that's in the groups. That's not saying I don't promote me, myself, and my business on LinkedIn, because it's a business thing. I'm talking about in the group. So like I may belong to the, I don't know, the Etiquette International group, okay, of etiquette educators, okay? So I shouldn't be going on there saying, yeah, Karen Thomas teaches this, and she does that, and she does, okay, because that's not what it is, not in those groups. It's more talking about the industry or the profession that you're in. On Instagram, reciprocate often likes and comments, because it's very short and brief. You're posting a photo, you have a few words to type in down there, and that's where you can get into the hashtags. But again, you don't want to get into big, lengthy, blah, 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 blah. Just like, oh, how cute, or yay, or that was nice, or something like that. Use hashtags appropriately. Don't put down 8,752. Okay, I've seen a lot of people do that, where like you look at their photo and then they have a hashtag, and it, like you have to scroll to like keep scrolling because there's this many hashtags. It's like, what are you doing? Okay, like that's where I go like this, and I swipe up or swipe down and go, forget it, I'm done. And don't over selfie and food post is the biggest one I can tell you about Instagram. Look, I had a sandwich for lunch, click, oh, look at this cute French fry, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. People are doing it. Now, unless you're a food vlogger or blogger, because I mean, if any one of you in the audience are one of those in that food profession, absolutely. I'm talking about in general, just, I'm Susie Q. Jones, look at my sandwich, I mean, unless, the something, the Virgin Mary face appeared in the bun and there was something that, maybe post it. But I mean, if it's just a sandwich is a sandwich is a sandwich. How many people, how many of you have looked at that and went like, wow, look at that sandwich? Not many. So again, you want to make sure you're that, and not everything is not selfie time. Okay, and that's every day. There's 50 selfies of me, doing whatever.
That's what I find. Some people, they're so narcissistic. It's all about them and their little family. I'm like, are you serious?
It's like, look at me. Now tomorrow, when you go on my Instagram, you're going to see a picture of me up at the screen. Okay, and you're going to be like, she said, don't do that. And she did it. She did it herself. She's talking over it. Okay. But so again, I hope.
Like 5, and you can do 5 in a row.
Oh, yeah, if you could see me doing this and like this and like this and then like this, and then you say, yeah, she's a little, but no, just one of me, standing, like I said, in front of the thing. I have to promote. But again, not 5 or 10 in a row. But any other questions regarding what we went over this evening? Yes?
One of my pet peeves on Facebook is when people share your post without commenting.
Oh.
Or no, share it without liking it. Even.
Oh, absolutely.
So as a rule of thumb, if I'm going to share someone's post, I always
like it first.
Like it first. I used to always say sharing.
Yes.
Now I just say like.
Yes, because here's the thing that goes along with the rules of always ask or tell or something. And again, when I say ask, you don't even have to ask, so to speak, but just say, love this, would like to share, and that's a statement. So in other words, I read that now. So I know you're going to share that picture or that post, okay? Now, if you didn't put that and then I just saw that on your thing, I'd be like, so again, you don't even have to ask. You could just say that you're sharing. Now, if I read that and said, and really didn't want you to, I would send you a private message, call you, text you, show up at your door and be like, excuse me, I don't want you to put that. But again, I'm exaggerating, but I mean, you would say something. But again, the rules of etiquette are this. If you take anything away from this workshop this evening is this. Respect is the main value, the main core of etiquette. It's not what fork you use. It is not how you are dressed. It is not what, how you present. It is about respect for self and others. So I have good etiquette if I respect the audience that I'm with this evening. Okay? And you have good etiquette being respectful to me as the speaker. If you take nothing away, remember that. So I want to thank you for coming this evening. It was a great group and engaging. And if there's anything I can do for you, there's information on here. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.